Yasoda Nandana Gopijana Ranjana Nandana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjab Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjab Bihari Radha Madhava Punjab Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopijana Vallabha Girivanadari Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Randana Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Randana Yasoda Nandana Gopi Jana Randana Nandana Gopi Jana Randana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, thank you. I'm not used to all this. Yep, you have to do this. What comes next? Yeah, okay. Radha Krishna Samarambam Krishna Chaitanya Madhyamam Bhakti Vedanta Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadisya yatanbayari itaritasthati swabhijana swaratene brahma hridayadi kavaye muyanti yatsuryaha tejo varimriddam yata vinimayo yatrashisha gomisha damna svena sadanirastakokam satyam param dhimahi damna projitakaita votra paramo nimatsaranam satam vedyo vastavatra vasta shivanam chapo trayamunanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamune Kimpa Paririshvara Sadyo Hridya Virujite Tikritibihi Susishabhik Sakshanak Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Jaivam Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. So, today I thought we'd just read a little bit from the 11th canto, 27th chapter. Lord Krishna's instructions on deity worship. Today is a very auspicious day. Any day that we do something for Krishna is auspicious, right? Any day you don't do something is inauspicious. So we've been doing some other things, some tourist things, but now we've arrived at the place where we can do kainkaryam or seva, or worship or service to the Lord. And this is a place where we were very fortunate to be able to do service to the Lord a few times, and in the past, and hopefully in the future also. But we'll see, the grace of God, you know. So because today there's what we call Jirnodara. We're doing a ceremony, and of course everybody is coming for Brahmotsavam. So I just explain a little bit about all these things, and with reference to Lord Krishna's instructions in the Bhagavatam. So, if I can find the place. Yeah. Okay. So, we'll leave the Sanskrit because it'll just slow us down. You want me to do the first verse in Sanskrit? No, I want to start from the beginning and just read something. Yeah. Text 1. You can just go English, please, or German, whatever it is. So, in the Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna explains to Uddhava the process of deity worship. So, who better to tell us how to worship Lord Krishna but Lord Krishna himself? So Sri Uddhava said, "My dear Lord, O Master of the devotees, please explain to me the prescribed method of worshipping you in your deity form. Because there are other ways of worshipping the Lord. We know we can chant the holy name, right? Chanting the holy name doesn't require you to have a deity. It doesn't require you to take a bath or whatever. There are no rules and regulations, right? You can just chant. So that's a way of worshipping the Lord, especially good in this age, right? But there's also another way. There are other ways, and this Uddhava is asking Krishna. He's asking Lord Krishna, how can I worship you in deity form? Because throughout there are these different ages and there are different forms of worship, and deity worship is a prescribed method for one age, but not particularly this age. But all of the different forms of worship are there in all the ages, right? We do meditation today also, right? If everybody doing japa meditation every day, everybody's doing, right? And also we do meditation when we do our Sandhya Vandanam, when we chant 3 times a day. We chant the prayers given to us in initiation. It's also meditation, so that's dhyanam, right? And then we have we're going to do homa, sacrifice. Actually, in this age, the sacrifice is also by the holy name, so that's also a type of sacrifice. But we are going to do a different type of sacrificing involving wood and ghee and different items today. And we'll explain a little bit more about that later. And then deity worship directly, the form of the Lord. And it's going to be explained here. Lord Krishna is actually going to explain the different types of deities. So we'll get to that. And then we have in the Kali Yuga, of course, the Harinama Sankirtanam, right? Ramanama, Harinama. So Uddhava wants to know, how do I worship you in a form, in a solid form, a physical form, right? And it can be two-dimensional in the form of a yantra, if anybody knows what that is. We have some on the altar here. Two-dimensional deity. Krishna comes in every dimension. He's trans-dimensional as well as transcendental, right? He's right out of the sci-fi channel, Krishna. He does everything. And so, yantra, two-dimensional, three-dimensional. A three-dimensional yantra is called a meru, a mountain. Sometimes we see those. You don't have one here, but maybe you will get one, I don't know. So it would make things more complicated for you. We don't necessarily need that. Okay, so then we have the form of the Lord, different forms of the Lord which are described in the Shastras. All the different avatars of the Lord have different forms. Although the Lord is one, He is the Supreme, but He appears in different forms. He's appeared in a specific form here in Jandalsbrunn. We know that's a very beautiful form of Lord Narasimha. And so he wants to know, Uddhava wants to know how to worship Krishna in this physical deity form. So what are the qualifications of those devotees who worship the deity? This is a very important question, because we know, we've been told about Harinama, there's no qualification for Harinama, right? Everybody can just chant the holy name of the Lord, right? Even the dogs in Chaitanya Charamrita were chanting Hare Krishna, and the animals in the Jarikanda forest when Lord Chaitanya went through, right? But deity worship requires some qualifications. So Uddhava is asking, Krishna, what is the qualifications? On what basis is such worship established? And what is the specific method of worship? So this is the question. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks the questions and Krishna gives the answers. Here, Uddhava is asking the questions, Krishna is giving the answers. So continuing on, he says, all the great sages repeatedly declare that such worship brings the greatest benefit possible to human life. This is the opinion of Narada Muni, the great Vyasadeva, and my own spiritual master, Brihaspati. So when he says something, when Uddhava says something here, he is quoting the authorities. So he's saying, this deity worship is very important. It gives us great benefit, like that. You're going to read, if you read the Shastra, you read, this is what we call Shastrik Hyperbole. The Shastra, whenever it tries to emphasize something, it says, this is the greatest. So in India, chanting the holy name can be the greatest, worshipping the deity can be the greatest, performing the sacrifice can be the greatest. All these things can be the greatest. We are used to, in the West, we're somewhat limited in our thinking. We think that only one thing can be the greatest. No, everything can be the greatest. All these things can be the greatest. Opposite to that is everything can be the worst. The worst sin, the worst thing you could do. So you'll read this. So don't get confused when you're reading all the Shastras that it says, well, what is this? Is this better than this? Is this worse than this? No, all are best, all are worst. In Sanskrit. This is a way of writing the scriptures to enthuse you about doing a thing, serving Krishna in a certain way, or enthuse you not to do a thing, not to do a bad thing. Yama, niyama. Yama, niyama means there's rules, there's do's and don'ts. Do's and don'ts. So when the Shastra says do this, it says do it because it's the best thing. And when Shastra says don't do that, it says don't do it because that's the worst thing you can do. It treats you like a little baby, like a child. It tells you that's the worst thing you can do. That's the best thing you can do, like that. But we don't need to make a comparison. It's not that we should overthink this. Just accept it. So, and then Uddhava says, that I'm not saying this. He's saying, my spiritual master says it, Brihaspati, who's the spiritual master of the devas, the devatas, right? The higher beings than us. And Narada Muni, Everybody's heard of Narada Muni. He's a great source of information on this. We know the Narada Pancharatra. We read in Prabhupada's books many times about Narada Pancharatra. And we'll explain Pancharatra in a second. And Narada Muni is the one who's presented Narada Pancharatra. So we often hear about that. And then Vyasadeva, the compiler of all the scriptures, he also says that. So Narada says it, Vyasadeva says it, my guru says it, so you better believe it. You have to accept it. Here Uddhava is saying to Krishna, I've heard from my authorities that this is very important, so please tell me about it. So then, O most magnanimous Lord, the instructions on this process of deity worship first emanated from your lotus mouth. So he's saying, you previously said this. We know this is the process of parampara. Right? Just when I started, I said, Radha Krishna Samadambam, Krishna Chaitanya Madhyamam, Bhakti Vedanta Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. So Guru Parampara means that the knowledge is passed down to us unchanged. So Uddhava is saying this also. He's saying, Krishna, you spoke this before, now speak it again. In the Bhagavad Gita, we've heard this too. Krishna says himself. Right? I spoke this knowledge originally to Vivishwan. Vivishwan spoke it to Ikshvaku and Manu and these people, and they handed it down. So if you repeat things, you hear from authorities, then you have the right idea, and you repeat it. Then if you repeat it perfectly, then that is called parampara. Parampara means one after another, one after another. And guru means teacher. So teaching one after another, that is guru parampara. Whatever you're teaching. If you teach it the same way, that's parampara. So that's very important. He emphasizes this here. Then they were spoken to by the great Lord Brahma to his sons. So he's saying here, Krishna, you spoke it to Brahma. And Brahma, you spoke it to his sons. Brahma had lots of sons because Brahma was the first created being, so he has to have a lot of sons. Right? Headed by Bhrigu. Bhrigu is also a great rishi. Committed an offense against Vishnu by kicking him in the chest. But there was a lila, so we won't go into that now. And by Shiva and his wife Parvati. Shiva and his wife Parvati, or Devi, they're very also important in this parampara of learning about deity worship. Because we are going to study about Pancharatra Agama. Agama means Agama, what is spoken by Shiva to Parvati about Vishnu. Is the definition, one definition, there are many definitions, one definition of Agama. So everybody's heard of Tantra, right? Tantra. In the West, everybody thinks, oh, sex. Right? It's not sex. Tantra, tantrayate, right? Tasya trayate, right? That a way of doing something, a method or a procedure of doing something is a tantra, right? So there are what we call agamas and nigamas. Nigama means the Vedas. Everybody's heard of the Vedas? Yes, okay, Vedas. So the Vedas are ancient, eternal scriptures in Sanskrit. Okay, and there's a Vedic system. Yeah? And Vedic is older type of Sanskrit. And then you have the nigamas and then agamas. The agamas are, so basically you can divide scriptures into two. You see, there's nigamas, Vedas, and there's agamas. So agamas are all the things that are not the Vedas. They're not the exact original Vedas, like that. So they came later, and they were written by different people. They were authored by different great sages, given to us by incarnations of the Lord, by different things. So these are the books. So Shiva, speaking about the worship of Vishnu or Krishna to his wife Parvati, is what we have as the agamas, like that. They're called Pancharatra agamas. Actually, there's two methods of worshipping Lord Vishnu, or Krishna, or Narasimha. There's two ways of worshipping. We're going to learn about even more. Two ways, two agamas. This is called the Vaikhanasa agama and the Pancharatra agama. The Vaikhanasa agama is more Vedic, using more Vedic nigama, mantras. And the Pancharatra uses less Vedic, but also some Vedic mantras and some mantras from the Puranas, Pancharatras, Agamas, like this. So Tantra and Agama means the same thing, but we don't use, in the West, nobody wants to use the word Tantra anymore because everybody just thinks of yoginis and sex and whatever. It's not like that. It's not really meant like that, but better to use the word Agama, then people won't get mistaken that, oh, I'm studying Tantra. I'm studying. But technically you can say, I'm a Vaishnava Tantric. I'm studying Vaishnava Tantra. Like that, everybody, oh, this guy. they'll think you are some really strange, weird person. But just say I'm agamic. I'm following agama. Okay, so anyway, Shiva and Parvati, very important. The process is accepted by and appropriate for all the occupation and spiritual orders of society. What does that mean? So we have the Vanashrama system, right? The Vanashrama system is a sort of a quasi-Vedic cultural system, social system, and it involves dividing up society. So we have little bit we have today, like we have some sannyasis. Sannyasi is one of the ashramas, and we have brahmacharis, and we have grihastas, and we have vanaprasthas, and then we have brahmanas. Everybody's a brahmana apparently, and then kshatriyas, vaishyas, shudras, like that. We have some idea of what these things are, but we didn't go fully into it because we're Vaishnavas, and above all, we're Vaishnavas. Right? So we won't totally get into the Vanashrama system because otherwise we'll get all muddled up and we'll have some problems. But here, Uddhava is saying that this is appropriate. Please tell us about a system which is good for everybody. That's what he's saying, basically. He's saying, tell us about a system which is good for everybody. Right? Because some systems are not good. The Vedics, there might be a Vedic system of doing something is no good. Prabhu, you can't do that service, you're not initiated yet, or you don't do this, or you're a Shudra or something like that. You're a very nice Vaishnava Sudra, but you can't do this particular thing because of some rule in Vanashrama. Oops, did I do something wrong? Okay. Am I still on? Okay, so what is good for everybody? Therefore, I consider worship of you in your deity form to be the most beneficial of all spiritual practices, even for women and Sudras. Yeah, I touched it, right? Thank you. We can't do anything without technology today. I couldn't even come here without technology today. Right? I had to put it in the car and tell us how to get there, and we made a few U-turns. But we got here. Okay. Why not just stay here? You might ask. Okay, it's another story. Okay, so even for women and Sudras. Okay, so sometimes we see this even for women and Sudras. Why is that they put that in there? Why is that in the Bhagavatam? Because in the Bhagavatam it also talks about the Vanashrama system, and not to get sidetracked by Vanashrama too much. But in the Vanashrama system there's some cultural rules, and sometimes people enforce them very heavily, and the Shudras, of course, in Kali Yuga we're all Sudras. Kalau Sudra Sambhava, right? We're all born Sudras. We have to be elevated by the process of samskara. We have to take initiation and become purified. We have to be purified. Anyhow, so that he just mentions that here because in case anybody was thinking that women and Sudras can't do deity worship, can't worship Krishna, the Lord, here he's most definitely saying this, that they can. Right? Uddhava is saying to Krishna, I know. Is he going to open the curtains? It's okay? He's not going to open the curtains. Jai Sri Narasimha. Oh, I feel bad. I have to sit like this. You can't sit with your back to they have to back to the sannyasi, it's very difficult. Whatever you do in Kali Yuga, you're going to commit some offense. So just have to chant Hare Krishna and hope for the best. Expand. 4 hands. I wish. Okay. I'd have to shave more. Okay, then let's see. Where were we? Therefore, I consider worship of you, O Lord Krishna, in your deity form to be the most beneficial for all spiritual practices, even for women and Sudras. So it's good for everybody. Let's not get hung up about this women and Sudras thing. So then he says, O lotus-eyed one, Lord Krishna, O supreme Lord of all lords and of the universe, please explain to your devoted servant this means of liberation from the bondage of work. Liberation, moksha. Moksha, going to Krishna Loka, going to Goloka, going to Vaikuntha, right, where the place of no return, the place of no return. You put your directions in the sat nav and it takes you there and you never come back. right? You never come back. You don't have to return. The supreme, what we call Paramapada, or Tripad Vibhuti. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Uddhava, there is no end to the innumerable Vedic prescriptions for executing deity worship. Okay. So right from the very beginning, Lord Krishna says, it's an ocean. It's an unlimited ocean of instructions, and there's no limit to it. So he's just going to tell a little bit. So I shall explain this topic to you briefly, one step at a time. So unlike me, Lord Krishna is going to explain briefly. Okay, let's continue. One should carefully worship me by selecting one of the three methods by which I receive sacrifice. There you go. That's brief. Three methods. So what does Krishna say? He says Vedic, Tantric, and mixed. So remember I was talking about the Vedas, and I was talking about the Tantras or the Agamas or the, right? The other methods. So you can either purely worship Krishna by the Vedic system. Very difficult. Or you can worship Krishna by the Tantric system only. Tantric system only. Without using any Vedic mantras whatsoever. Because some people may not be qualified, they don't know how to chant the Vedic mantras. If anybody's around, they can come and listen to us. We are going to attempt to chant some Vedic mantras properly. If we can do it, maybe. We don't know. But it's difficult. If you want to learn, you can get in touch with me. We'll try to teach you as best as we know by introducing you to people who know proper ucharanam, proper pronunciation. But Vedic Sanskrit is difficult to pronounce. There is not regular Sanskrit when we chant the Bhagavatam class, we chant the sloka. This is in classical Sanskrit. And there are no swaram, there's no pitches. But in Vedic Sanskrit, there are different pitches. Sahana, sahana, bhavatu, sahano, bhunaktu. You have to learn. And if you get something wrong, tasya tvastad vidadad rupamedhi tat purushasya vishvamajana magre. In the Purusha Suktam, which is a very famous, it comes in all the Vedas, but specifically Rig Veda, it says that Twasta made a mistake, and we read in the Bhagavatam about Twasta made a mistake, right? That's another story. He made a mistake in his chanting. And the mistake was, instead of Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam, he said Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam. Oh, he did instead of he did the That was his mistake. Little mistake in tone, only in the tone, like that. And what happened was, instead of the weapon killing Indra, it was killed by the Vritasura was killed by Indra, right? Yeah. Had the opposite effect. It's not like chanting Hare Krishna. You chant Hare Krishna, no problem, like that. If you're falling asleep, you're making some of. Okay, you shouldn't make offenses, right? We should try to chant purely. But in case we don't chant purely, what is the remedy for not chanting purely? Chant more. Just keep chanting. No problem. It'll become pure. Okay, so no problem. So there's Vedic, Tantric. You can do either one. And then he says mixed. It can be mixed. So what you're going to see today, and what we do is mixed. There are some Vedic mantras that we chant, some agamic mantras which we chant. It's a mixed system. The Pancharatra system is a mixed system. So, what is Pancharatra? Pancharatra literally means 5 nights. So there's many explanations of what it means, right? The word Ratra means nights. The word Pancha means 5, like in Panchatattva. So 5 nights, what does it mean? It means that this science was described by Shiva to Parvati in 5 nights. It also means that there are 5 types of ignorance that we suffer from at present, and these are 5 types of knowledge, because when we talk about light and darkness, it's an analogy for knowledge, and light means knowledge, darkness means ignorance, right? When we say agyana timirandasya, I've fallen in the well, it's covered, and I'm in darkness, and my spiritual master saved me by opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. So light means knowledge, darkness means ignorance. Okay, so Pancharatra, Ratra means night, darkness, ignorance. We have ignorance, and we get over 5 nights, we get the knowledge. Okay. So we understand there's 3 methods, right? Okay, so then now please listen faithfully, and I will explain exactly how a person who has achieved twice-born status through the relevant Vedic prescriptions should worship me with devotion. So Krishna is going to explain a person who's attained twice-born status. Now what does that mean, twice-born status? It means he has taken the Upanayam samskara, he has become a Dvija, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, males. They take this samskara and purifies them, and they can do the Sandhya Vandanam, they can go to the Gurukula and learn the Vedic mantras from the Guru. And but also, according to the Vaishnava system, anybody, including all of us malechas in foreign and women and sudras, and all, can also be purified up to this standard, right? By taking Vaishnava Diksha, because when one becomes a Vaishnava, he automatically becomes equal or greater than, let's say, not equal to. You're not equal to a Brahmin. You're greater than a Brahmin. You're greater than any Brahmin. In Hari Bhakti Vilas by the Goswamis, they say, you can know all the Vedas, you can know all the things and everything like that. If you're a Brahmin, you're a good Brahmin, you know all the Vedas, you know everything like that. But you cannot be a guru, you cannot be a spiritual teacher, you cannot be considered qualified if you're not a Vaishnava. But if you're a Vaishnava, you're qualified. Automatically qualified, automatically included. So, he's going to explain the person who has reached twice-born status. What does that mean, twice-born status? As far as ISKCON is concerned, and different, even other Vaishnava Sampradayas, one who takes Vaishnava initiation, one who takes Vaishnava Diksha, that person is considered qualified. Right? In Sri Rangam, where we live, when people get married, then about 1 week after the marriage, they'll have an initiation for the lady will get the new wife. She has to have the initiation. Because without being initiated, you can't go in the kitchen. The kids can't come in the kitchen. Kids cannot go in the kitchen. Right? Prabhupada used to say this is kitchen philosophy, but kids can't come in. Right? When we bought our house in South India in Sri Rangam, kitchen religion, exactly. It's a kitchen religion, but until you're initiated, you can't go in the kitchen. Right? You got to get initiated. Initiation's the beginning, anyway. So when we bought our house in Sri Rangam, we were house hunting, and we were going around like that, and they said, see a house, but don't go in the kitchen. When can we go see the kitchen? Well, you buy the house, then you can go inside. It's just, as a real estate agent, it's a little strange. But anyway, so, but that's the system. The kids cannot go in the system, and the wife cannot prepare the food, because in the house you have to prepare food, because you have a deity in the house, not because the husband is hungry, right? Same thing in the temple. We prepare food, not because we are hungry, but because we're offering to the Supreme Lord. So it's service to the Lord. So same thing in the house, there's 2 types of worship. Well, we keep saying there's 3 types of worship, there's 2 types of worship. Yeah, okay. From another point of view, there's 2 types of worship, in the house and in the temple. So here, it's kingly service, it's called Rajupachara. Rajupachara means we have to offer as if he's a king. So he's got a crown on. He's a king. So we have to offer, everything has to be done like a king. We have to think he's a king, and we're the servants, we're the subjects. We don't want him to be angry with us and execute us or something, right? King can do that. Can say, this person, execute. And they'll kill him. Used to be able to say. No, the kings these days can't do that. Okay, so in the temple, the Lord is like a king. Rajupachara, he's worshipped with Rajupachara. In the house, he's like a house guest. He has to adjust. When your friend comes to visit you, right? He comes and he stays with you, then you tell him, look, we have breakfast at this time, and we go to bed at this time, and you have to do that too. Right? So the Lord also has to adjust. He has to adjust a little bit in the house. This type of worship is called house worship. Okay. All right. So now please listen faithfully. Okay, so he's going to explain. Yeah. Text 9. A twice-born person should worship me, his worshipable Lord, without duplicity, offering appropriate paraphernalia in loving devotion to my deity form and in the form of me appearing upon the ground, in fire, in the sun, in water, and within the worshipper's own heart. So these are the places where we can worship the Lord. On the ground, there's a specific method of doing a particular mandala or worship on the ground. The ground is sacred, by the way, right? Everybody prays to Bhumi Devi when they get up in the morning, right? You don't do that? Nobody does that? Oh my God. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to point out too many faults with you, but I'll tell you now that the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna or Vishnu, has got two wives. One of them just sits around and does nothing. The other one is always going here and there. Right? Right? Who is it? That's Bhumi Devi, Bhu Devi. She's just sitting there like that. Some people have wives like this. It just sits there, doesn't do anything. Right? So Vishnu has a wife that just sits there, doesn't do anything like that. She's the earth, like that. It means every planet also, this earth. Right? And then his other wife is Lakshmi, like that. He has some other wives too. We won't talk about those, like that. But mainly two, Shri and Bhu, we talk about. Okay, so Sri Devi is the goddess of fortune, and we're going to do Jeernoddhara, reinstallation of a Sri Devi today. Sri Devi is here and there. She's called Chanchala. Chanchala. You know from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Chanchala hi mana Krishna, right? That verse. Krishna says the mind is flickering like that. So just like that, fortune is flickering. One day you win the lottery, next day you become a pauper. You lose everything, the government takes the taxes and you've got nothing. Right? So it's like that. Fortune favors some people and not others. We don't. It's all karma. Okay, so he has these two wives. So the earth is sacred because it's one of the wives of the Lord. Is it not? It's one of the wives of the Lord. But we put our feet on her every day. Oh, so bad. We're so bad. So in the morning, we say, we say, Vishnu Patni Namastubhyam. I offer my respects to you, O Vishnu Patni, O wife of Lord Vishnu. Padasparsha Chamashvame. Chamashvame means please forgive me for putting my feet on you. Because I have to walk around. We all have to walk around, right? So as soon as we get out of bed, before we get out of bed, we should say Padasparsha Chamashvame. Oh Lord. So he's saying here you can worship me on the ground because the ground is my wife, is Bhumi Devi. We do some pujas like that, Bhu Varaha. Lord Varaha's consort is Bhumi Devi, primary consort is Bhumi Devi, but Lord Vishnu also Bhumi Devi. So in fire, if you see we do the yagya, the homa, we invite the Lord to come in the fire. Why is fire important to a form for worshipping the Lord? Fire, we have Bhumi Rapo Nalo Vayu Kam Maruburu Evacha Ahankarai Iti Ame Bina Prakritirastira, right? So Bhumi Rapo Nalo Vayu Kam, right? These are the 5 Pancha Mahabhutas. Do we know? Everybody know what Pancha Mahabhutas is? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are elements. So fire is. We're talking here of worshipping forms of the Lord. So the earth is one form. Another form is fire. Fire is a form. There are more subtle elements, but we can't see them. We can't see air. We can't see ether, right? If the air goes through the trees, we can see the leaves move, right? So we know that there's a breeze. If you look out the window and you see the trees moving, we know that or the clouds moving, we know that there's a breeze. So we know there's air. But we can't see it actually. We don't see the air. Itself, we don't see it. We see what it does. So what is the most subtle? Subtle means purer. More gross is less pure. More subtle. What is the subtlest element, material element of the Pancha Mahabhutas that you can see? That is fire. That is fire. That's the most subtle, the purest element that we can see is fire. So Krishna says, I appear in the fire also. When we do the havan or the homa, the yaga, right? We are worshipping Krishna in the fire. We call Krishna to appear and accept our worship through the fire, right? When we do the fire sacrifice, we say swaha, right? We can say Krishnaya swaha. Krishnaya means unto Krishna. Swaha means what? What does swaha mean? Yeah, it means oblation. Good. Okay, we look up in the dictionary. That's dictionary definition from Swamiji. Okay, I will tell you another idea, right? Swaha is one of the wives of Agni. Yeah. You know when we approach Krishna, we say Radha Krishna. When we approach Narasimha, Lakshmi Narasimha, like this. We always go through the consort. The wife. You want to get to the husband, go through the wife. Easy. You want to get directly to the husband? You'll never get. Go through the wife. Easy. So the wife, Agni has two wives, Swaha and Swada. So Swaha is one of the wives of Agni. So why is Agni important? Agni is important in the sacrifice. Agni means what? Agni means different things, right? Agni means fire. If you look up in the dictionary, Agni, fire, okay? But it also means a demigod, right? There's a devata called Agni. He's like the god of fire, right? But what does it also mean? It also can mean Krishna. Right? Right? Who knows Is Pancharatra? End of Is Pancharatra, right? Where is Is Pancharatra from? Shukla Yajurveda, 40th chapter of Shukla Yajurveda. Everybody studied that, right? So at the end of the Shukla Yajurveda, there's very important Upanishad. The number one Upanishad, if you look it up in the list of 108, number one is Is Pancharatra, right? And the very last verse of the Shukla Yajurveda, Agnena Zubadara Yasman Vishvani Deva Vaivani Vidman Yujojas Madjuhuranam Eno Bhuyishtam Te Nama Uktim Videma, right? Everybody's read Is Pancharatra by Srila Prabhupada? Yep, very good. Okay, I also read it. And how does Prabhupada translate the word for Agne? Agne means what? Is the vocative case singular, right? Agne? Sambodhana Pratama, yeah? So it means, oh Agni. So how do we translate it? So when the Indologists come to India, they look at this and they say, these foolish people they're praying to a fire. Right? Stupid people, right? Yeah, they are pantheists. They are nature lovers, right? They are worshipping a fire. Stupid, like that. But then then other Hindus will say, oh no, we are worshipping Agni. He is the demigod behind the fire. But there is a third meaning, a more inner meaning. There's always more esoteric inner meanings. You have to go to the secret tantric gurus like Swamiji over here. He will tell you everything. If you go, you just keep asking. Tell me something more. You know, when Lord Chaitanya was with Ramananda Roy, right? He was asking. He said a question. No, it's Vanashrama. Yeah, no. Beyond that. No, beyond that. Finally, you get to you have to keep pushing, right? Just don't ask one question. Pariprashnena seva. Don't just ask one question. Oh, will you initiate me? Yes. Oh, good. Enough. Right? That's finished, right? So you have to ask a lot of questions, and you keep asking the question. You look in the Shastra. Arjuna just asked one question. Krishna, what do you want me to do? Fight. Okay. No, then we have no Bhagavad Gita, right? We would have no Bhagavad Gita. You have to keep asking questions. Keep asking questions, pushing. And then maybe the person can't answer your question. He'll say, you know what? I don't know. Let's go ask this person who is my guru. Let's go ask this person. Let's look in the scripture. No, maybe you're making your guru do some work, right? He has to do I'll tell you later. People ask me questions all the time, and I say, I have no idea. But I'll research it. It's a good question, right? So that's how you learn. And that's how your gurus will also learn. Your teachers will also learn. Very good way. Okay, so Agne, what does it mean? Prabhupada says Agne means, O Supreme Personality of Godhead who is powerful like fire. That is in the word for word. So what does it mean? Every word in the Veda means Krishna. Right? We know this from Bhagavad Gita, but we didn't think about it. Krishna says, Aham, right? Vedescha sarvam maham eva vedya, right? Everything in the Veda means me. So when we read in the Veda, Agni, Indra, Vayu, Kuvera, like that, we think, oh, demigods. No, it's not demigods. Means every word means Krishna. If Vishnu Sahasranama is there, 1,000 names of Vishnu. Durga is the name of Vishnu. Durlabo, Durgamo, Durgo. Right? Sarva Shivastanu. Shiva is the name of Vishnu. Is the name of Krishna. Right? These are all names. Anybody wants to join us later, we can chant Vishnu Sahasranam together. There are some Ganesha. All these names, the original primary meaning of them is Krishna. But people, when they say them, they think of something else. Because we have all taken, and even the demigods, they've all taken these primary names of Krishna as their own, right? We've taken them as own. We say, hey, Gopal, put the trash out, like that. We don't mean Krishna should do it. We mean that Bhakta over there, Bhakti Gopal, he has to take the trash out, right? Like that. But we say, oh, Gopal, take the trash out. Maybe sometime Krishna will come and personally take the trash for you if you do that. Because it's his name. It's his name. So all of these names, Krishna is called Sarvanam. All names refer to him. Everything comes from him. Right? Yatova imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayantya bisham vishanti. That is the definition of God. The very definition of God given in Taittiriya Upanishad. That from which everything emanates, that by which everything is maintained, and that into which everything enters is God, the Supreme. Okay, so Agne, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is powerful like fire. We spent too much time on fire. Krishna again is giving briefly, I'm giving elaborately. My fault. A person who is very intelligent and very expert can concisely explain something, but I'm not able to do that. So, sorry. So then, so we can worship Krishna in the fire. Then in the sun, what is the sun? Sun is Pratyaksha Devata. What Pratyaksha means what? Pratyaksha means you see it, right? We know, we've heard about different pramanas. Pramanas means proof, right? Somebody says to you, what proof do you have of something, right? Seeing is believing, right? Seeing is believing, that's one idea. Proof, that is called Pratyaksha. Through direct sensual perception, I touch the flame and it's hot, I burn my fingers. Right, that is called Pratyaksha. We have, in Vaishnava system, we follow three main pramanas. We have Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Shabda. Pratyaksha means direct sense perception. Anumana means inference, logical argument, right, deduction. And Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Shabda. Shabda means authoritative statement. Now that authoritative statement can come from the scriptures, can come from the gurus, can come from the sadhus, right? And the sadhus and the gurus, they get it from the scriptures. So ultimately it all comes from the scriptures. Like that, that is Shabda, right? Because sometimes we can't prove something by seeing. Somebody says, show me God. Okay, he's here. But if they don't believe, that's okay. So then we can deduce, okay, because there's a creation, there must be a creator. Right, that's a logic. So Pratyaksha, Anumana, Shabda, like that. Otherwise, we can read the Bhagavatam, we can read the scriptures, we can learn about God. Right. So when somebody says, "Can you show me God?" we can point in the sky. Look in the sky. Look coming through the window. What is that? That is the sun. That is the light of the sun. The sun is Surya Narayana. Surya Narayana. Deya Sarasapiti Mandala Madhyavarti. Narayana Sarasajasana Vista Keyuravan. Makara Kundalavan, he has shark earrings. He has earrings shaped like sharks. Would look good, huh? What do you think? Hari Hiramaya Vabhu Drita Shankha Chakra. He has Shankha Chakra, like this. He has the conch and the discus, just like Lord Narasimha. And he's there in the Surya Mandala. He's in the middle of the Surya Mandala, like that. He's the personality of the sun. The sun makes everything happen in this world. Makes everything happen in this world. So 3 times a day, the Dvijas, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, the people who have the Gayatri Mantra, they worship, the Gayatri is called Savitri Gayatri. Savitri means to Savitur. Savitur is the sun god, Surya Narayana. He is not a demigod, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he's called Pratyaksha Devata, the God that you can see with your plain, naked eyes, even if there's no temple. Look in the sky, there's God. Many times in the scripture, if you want to be purified, look at the sun. Oh, I saw some Sudra, I saw somebody dirty. Oh, look at the sun. Purified. So sun purifies everything, dries up everything, purifies everything. So sun is pure. So Krishna is saying you can worship me in the sun. How do we normally worship Krishna in the sun is by performing the Sandhya Vandanam. Every day the sun needs the Brahmins' help a little bit to ward off the attack of some demons that come to attack the sun, morning, evening, and in the night there's no sun, so no problem. But in the daytime, in the morning and the evening, the sun is less strong. In the noon, is more strong, right? Noon is more strong. So we offer Argya with the Gayatri Mantra 3 times in the morning, 3 times in the evening. Once is enough, once or twice in the noon, like that, during Sandhya Vandana. So there's 2 parts to Sandhya Vandana, main parts, offering the Argya, which is a missile, a mantra weapon, to help the sun to fight off these demons. These are all analogies. The demons are actually the problems that we have in our mind that stop us from understanding scripture and understanding so many things. Mahendaras, they're called. Yeah. And we pray to Lord Savitar that please enthuse our meditation. Please enthuse us. Please help us to think more of you, to understand more spiritual things, to think of higher things and not think of lower things. This is the prayer that we do 3 times. Of course, the Gayatri Mantra has many, many other meanings also. But you have to go to Swamiji and ask. He'll tell you everything. Yes, he must be. Anyway, so we can worship the Lord in the sun. Let's continue. Okay, in water. We can worship the Lord in water. So we worship the Lord in water. We are going to do a ceremony today called Punyavachanam. Punyavachanam means, aha means day. Vachana means to speak, right? Vach to speak, uvacha. Sri Bhagavan uvacha, Arjuna uvacha. We know uvacha means to speak, right? So vach means to speak. So vachana means to declare. So aha means day. Punya means auspiciousness. Auspiciousness. So we want to declare today to be an auspicious day. It's an auspicious day, but we want to formally declare it an auspicious day, so we have a ceremony for that. It means that ceremony is where we make sacred water. We need holy water. All water is somewhat holy, but we want to make it very holy. To use in the ceremony, we need to sprinkle things and purify things. So we need that holy water. We make the Punyavachanam. 2 types of Punyavachanam, as we said, there's the Agamic and the Vedic and the Agamic. So the Vedic Punyavachanam involves the Pavamana Suktam, for those of you who know those sort of things, and some other worship of Varuna, Imam me Varuna Shruti Havamajja Chamidiya Twamavachura Sate Chatvayami Brahmana Vandamana Aste Yajamano Havibbihi Ahedamano, right? Etc. I'm not going to bore you because you'll be bored later on. Later on you can be bored. That's the Vedic Punyavachanam. And then in Pancharatra, in our Pancharatric system, which we use to worship Krishna and Narasimha, there's one called Vasudeva Punyavachanam. Vasudeva Punyavachanam, in which we worship the Lord's discus, Sudarshana. Sudarshana discus, right? This is a weapon. It's a weapon. It's a weapon. It's like a ring with inside is blunt, the outside is razor sharp. Razor sharp. And you twirl it on your finger, and you throw it like that, and cut off the heads of the enemies. Or at least, if you get him in the neck, he's dead. Right? Maybe his head doesn't come completely off. But they used to use this like that. Yes. And Vishnu is very famous for having this weapon. Right? Sudarshana Mahajwala Kodi Samaprabha Agyananda Simedeva Vishnu Margam Pradashaya. Right? We pray to Lord Sudarshana that you be a transcendental flashlight, you be a transcendental torch for us, and you show us the pathway to go to Lord Krishna. Show us the way to Lord Krishna. Remember, light means knowledge, right? So Sudarshana is showing us the way to Lord Krishna, like that. And the conch represents the mercy of the Lord and the anugraha, and right? In the Bhagavatam, Dhruva Maharaj, he went to the forest and he said, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, right? We all said Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are all initiated into Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya mantra by Srila Prabhupada, right? Isn't it? This is a very important mantra in Pancharatra. There are 3 very important mantras, Vyapaka mantras. Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Vishnave, and Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. These are called Vyapaka mantras because they talk about the Lord's pervasiveness. Vyapaka means to pervade. So the Lord pervades everything. He's everywhere. He's inside and outside of everything. Right? So these 3 mantras, they talk about the Lord's. Other mantras, the Krishna mantra talks about how he's so lovable, and Narasimha mantra talks about how he's so terrible and angry, right? So there's many different mantras. Of course, all these things come from the Lord, right? But these 3 mantras explain about how the Lord pervades everything. So Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is called the Dwara Mantra. So you all initiate into that, Dwara Mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 12 syllables, right? Then 8 syllables, Om Namo Narayanaya. Okay? Then 6 syllables, Om Namo Vishnave. Okay? 3 Vyapaka mantras. Okay, these are all used in Pancharatra. Very important mantras. Okay, so my point was that when Dhruva Maharaj went to the Narada Muni, who's one of the teachers of Pancharatra, and he's a deity teacher, right? He taught Dhruva Maharaj the 12-syllable mantra. Prabhupada also told us that 12-syllable mantra. We can use that mantra. Prabhupada taught us that. And he went to the forest. Lord Vishnu appeared to him and touched him with the conch shell and gave him blessings. His anugraha. Yeah. So Shankha Chakra, very important. So continuing on. So in the water and within the worshipper's own heart. Within the worshipper's own heart. In our heart, right? Who knows? Has anybody ever seen a human heart? Have you seen? You know, maybe you're watching Indian TV, they show some things on Indian TV. It's very weird. They show, right? So they used to show all these operations. They had no programming in those days, okay? Now they have Bollywood and everything. But before they used to show all sorts of weird things. But a human heart, if you take your hands like this and you turn it upside down, imagine a lotus. Imagine a lotus. Everybody seen a lotus flower? Maybe you haven't seen, but in Asia they have lotus flowers. You get the lotus and it's all open. The petals are all open. When you buy the lotus, anybody ever bought lotuses? See, if you're a pujari, you have to go buy flowers for the deity, right? Krishna says, patram pushpam phalam toyam, right? So you have to offer a flower, a fruit, a leaf, a water. When I came here to Germany 40 years ago, I asked Harikesh Swami, so what kind of flowers do you have here to offer? Because we need flowers to worship the Lord, right? Krishna says, patram pushpam phalam toyam, right? Fruit, flower, leaf, water, minimum. We have lots of other things, hopefully, for the ceremony, but if we have those 4 things, it's enough, right? In the Bhagavad Gita. So I asked him, I said, what kind of flowers do you have? He said, cauliflowers. This time of year, you know, I guess, perhaps you have a better budget now. I don't know, maybe. So anyway, the flowers, which are very nice. There's so many flowers. There's a whole chapter out of 20 chapters in Hari Bhakti Vilas, one whole chapter. Imagine, Hari Bhakti Vilas speaks about the Goswamis have written on the order of Lord Chaitanya, the Goswamis have written a book which cover every aspect of Vaishnavism, every aspect of a devotee's life. From searching for a guru, getting initiated, doing daily puja, doing Ekadasi, monthly pujas, different festivals in the year, building temples, installing deities, everything like that. But one whole chapter out of 20 is only flowers. It's only about flowers. Flowers are so important in deity worship. They're so important. So the Kamala is a lotus. Lotus is a Kamala. So when you see a Kamala, you open it up. Actually, this is one of the ways you can tell who is Sri Devi and who is Bhudevi, right? When you go to a Vishnu temple and you see Vishnu and you see he's got 2 wives, right? He's the goddess of the earth and the goddess of fortune, right? So how do you know who's who? How do you know who's who? So a little bit, I'll give you a 101, Vaishnava iconography number 101 class, right? You go and you see Vishnu, he's the one with the Shankha Chakra. He's the male with the Shankha Chakra, right? And then on either side are the wives, Sri Devi, Lakshmi, and Bhumi Devi. So Sri Devi is usually on his right-hand side. Bhudevi is on, you know, we go into it like that primary wife gets to be on the right side. Anyway, it's a whole thing. Status, don't worry about it. Okay, so, but they are holding one hand down like this, and one hand they're holding a lotus. And on the other side, Lakshmi is holding one hand down like this, the other hand she's holding a lotus, right? And we won't go into the other part. There's other differences between the 2 goddesses too. They have, their chests are different sizes, and anyway, one of them, you know, anyway. So we won't talk about that. Anyway, so if you want to know, you can get the esoteric understanding later, okay? This is not for mixed class, okay? But anyway, so there are some differences between women as we talk about it. So even goddesses have some differences, yeah. Anyway, so but they both hold these lotuses, yeah. So Lakshmi's lotus is open, the petals are open, and Bhudevi's lotus, the petals are closed. Simple. See a goddess with open lotus, Lakshmi. See a goddess with closed lotus, Bhumi. Okay, easy, really simple, right? I taught you something. Okay. You learned something at least in the class. Okay, so then, So why am I talking about closed lotus? Imagine that lotus, and when you go to buy a lotus in the bazaar, they pull all the lotuses out there and they open them up and they sprinkle them with water so they don't get dehydrated, and you see how beautiful they are. And then when you want to go and buy them, I did this with one pujari. We were in a Mahalakshmi temple in Bombay, and we wanted to offer something to Mahalakshmi, because we're thinking about Mahalakshmi today. In London, I also went to a Mahalakshmi temple on the way here, like that, because I was thinking of Mahalakshmi, like that. So I had to keep thinking. So I went to Mahalakshmi temple in East Ham in London, and then now I'm again thinking of Mahalakshmi. So I went to this temple of Mahalakshmi. I forget the devotee I went to. He was a pujari in Bombay that time. And we decided to offer lotuses to Mahalakshmi, because Lakshmi, Padmapriye, Padmini Padmahaste, Padmalaye, Padmadalayatagshi, Vishvapriye, Vishnumanonukule, Tvatpada Padmam Mahisandidastra. What does Padma mean? Who knows what Padma means? Lotus, Kamala, Padma. It's another name for lotus. Padma means lotus. Kamala means lotus. So Lakshmi, the name of Lakshmi, is a very famous primary name of Lakshmi is lotus. Why? She sits on a lotus. She has lotus-like eyes. Everything about her is like a lotus. She's soft like a lotus. She's a lotus. Basically, she's just a lotus in goddess form. She's so beautiful, right? Right? If you see a woman and say, "Oh, this woman is like a lotus," yes, only Lakshmi can be like that. Yeah, fantastic. Anyway, so she's compared to lotuses in so many things. So many prayers have Padma or Kamala in it like this. So then, if we wanted to take and offer to Mahalakshmi these lotuses, so the guy said, "Okay," we gave the money, and he took the lotus and he closed up the petals. Because that's what you do. You close them up, you put some paper around it, and you wrap some string around it, and there you go. You're presented with the lotus after paying the money, right? Because if you take it open like this, it'll be damaged. So they close up the petals, which is what happens to lotuses at night. They all close up. In the day, when Surya Narayana comes out, then Lakshmi manifests. Am I right? Right? So this is nature. This is nature. Lakshmi is there, but she's at night. She said, "Where's my Lord? My Lord's not there. So why should I open? I'll close." And when Surya Narayana comes up, whoop, the lotus opens up, right? So why do I say this? Because we're talking about the heart. The heart is sometimes referred to as a lotus. Those of you who are yogis, there's a yogi over here. Those of you who are yogis, you may know something about the yoga system and the different chakras and mandalas and chakras and different energy centers within the body. Actually, within the body, there is this from the Muladhara to the Sahasradhala. And this is in Pancharatra also. So now we're getting more into the tantric side, so we won't go too far, right? Because, you have to learn from somebody who knows, like this person here. This Prabhu, Swami. So it's there in Pancharatra also. It talks about Kundalini Yoga and all these things like that. So it's possible. You want to do Kundalini Yoga, do it properly. You do it properly, it's nice. Okay, so there's these 8 chakras in the body. They're power centers because we have rivers of energy in the body that move up and down the spine. They're called Ida, Sushumna, and Pingala. Sushumna is in the middle. Ida is on the left, and Pingala is on the right. To start with, at the Muladhara, at the base of the spine, and they cross over. They come up and they cross over. The Sushumna goes straight up the south. It's like a highway system, yeah. So you cross over. There's the crossovers where they cross over. That is a chakra. That is a chakra. Each one of those chakras we meditate upon as a type of lotus, with different numbers of petals. Each petal will have a Bija Mantra on it. Bija Mantra. Bija means a seed mantra. A seed mantra. What is the seed mantra for Lord Narasimha? Everybody knows? Shraum. 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 K-S-R-A-U-M. Shraum. It's called the Kopa Bija. It's an angry Bij. The Bij for anger for Narasimha. We're going to learn the Bija Mantra for Sri Devi, for Lakshmi, Mahalakshmi. Okay, but each petal will have a Bija Mantra. Each petal will have a Bija Mantra. So all the 50 letters of the Sanskrit alphabet, 48, 50, this is 51 sometimes, Okay, so we have so everybody knows the Sanskrit alphabet, right? Yeah? Yeah. That's it. That's the Sanskrit alphabet. Okay? That's a short form. That's a brief form. That's how Panini says it. Like that, right? I'll explain it full later. Okay, so each one, so we have im, reem, leem, im, kong, kong, gong, 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 chan, 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 chan. Like this. There's all these different Bija Mantras. And they each have a meaning, and they each are meditate on the different petals, on the different chakras in the body, like this. This is all part of deity worship. If you get into really, heavy, over heavy, different forms of deity worship, Buddha Shuddhi and purifying the body and all these sort of things like that. All this sort of stuff. If you want to be bored and see us do this, we'll do it later. I won't bore you completely. Okay, so, but in the heart is the Agya Chakra, in the heart. And what is a human heart? A human heart looks like that lotus that is closed up, inverted. If I get a lotus flower and I close it up like that, turn it upside down, that's exactly what a human heart looks like. And the Lord lives in that heart, in each one of our hearts as Paramatman. We've heard of Paramatman, the super soul? Sahasrashirasha Purushaha, the Lord of 1,000 heads, and 1,000 hands, and 1,000 feet, and 1,000 eyes. Sahasraksha, Sahasrapat, Sabumim Vishvato Vritva Atchatishtad Dasangulam. He lives within each living entity's heart in a form which is not more than dasangulam. What is dasangulam? Angulam means the width of your finger. It's like, they didn't have metric in those days. Okay, so they used to measure things by fingers and spans and different things. So a finger, if that's 4 fingers, that's 8 fingers, and if I put 2 more on top, that's 10 fingers, right? Dasangulam, is that big? Did you know he's that big? Maybe he's not that big in human heart, we don't know. But no more than that. Like if an elephant may have a bigger heart, right, or a whale, right? So the super soul, it's in the Rig Veda, it states that super soul is no more than that size. Dasangulam, 10 fingers. That's it. Okay, so he is in the heart. So the yogis meditate upon the Lord in mystic yoga in the heart chakra. We're also going to do it as part of the deity worship. We meditate upon the Lord in the heart. And the Lord manifests in front of us from the heart. So one of the ways we can worship the Lord is in the heart, because the Lord is there in the heart. He's already in your heart. So no need to install any deities. He's already there in your heart. You just have to know how to contact him. That's it. Okay, so now, continuing on. 10. One should first purify... Anna? Did we miss one? Apsu, in water. I was mentioning about offering Arghya and Sandhyavandanam in water. Okay, Swamiji caught me out here. Punyavachanam, I did. I said we worship the Lord in Punyavachanam in water. Yeah. So I'll just finish this. Okay, the Punyavachanam, we worship Vasudeva Punyavachanam or Vedic Punyavachanam. We worship Sudarshana for Vasudeva Punyavachanam Pancharatric system. We're going to worship I mentioned the mantra Imam Me Varana Shri Hamadya Chamideya for Varuna. For worship. Varuna is the Lord of the waters. When we do Pundarikaksha Varuna, that means Lord Krishna, right, or Lord Vishnu, right? And we do the Vasudeva Punyavachanam, we worship Sudarshana. So Sudarshana mantras are like Om Klim Krishna Govindaya Govijana Valavaya Pranaya Parampurshaya Paramatmani Karma Mantrincha O Surasya Sastani Samar Samramitya Mochya Mochya Amna Bhavakti Mahasudarshana Jipte Jala Paritaya Savadiksho Banakrai Hum Padbramani Paramajoche Swaha. That's the 108 syllable mantra for Sudarshana. Or you can say Om Sahasrahum Pat for short, like that. There's a short way and a long way of doing everything, okay? If you ask me, probably you're going to get the long way. It's just my fault, you know. I'll probably give you the long way like that. If you keep asking, I'll give you a really short way, easy way, like that. But the first, to just discourage you, I'll just give you a big one. So, like that. So a lot of teachers are like that, you know. When you go first, Teacher doesn't want to bother with you. He's asking a stupid question, why should I bother? Like that. But he keep asking the teacher, keep asking, because no questions are stupid. All questions are correct, all questions are good. But the teacher has to sometimes lower himself down to a point. You go and ask a PhD, why does water boil at 100 degrees Celsius? You know, and you're asking a PhD in chemistry this. First of all, he's going to say, he said, go to kindergarten class. You know, go to. So that's the thing. That's the thing. We have to sometimes the teacher. There's a problem with the teacher sometimes that he is too smart, and that people come with a simple question, and so the teacher doesn't want to be bothered with that. But if you just keep asking, if he's a good teacher, he'll explain to you in easy terms like that. That's what we should try. Just keep asking. So we worship Sudarshana. There's also Sudarshana. So there's Om Sasura Pat. There's Sudarshanaya Vidmahe Heti Rajaya Dhimahe Tannas Chakra Prachodayat, which is the Gayatri for Sudarshana. Then there's this big one that I just said, etc. Okay, there's so many mantras for Sudarshana. For Narasimha also, there's so many mantras, right? In the beginning, everybody, if you want to learn Mantra Shastra, in the beginning, learn the one-syllable mantras. Learn the one-syllable mantras. It'll be easy for you, right? You know how long it takes you to chant Hare Krishna. Why? Because there's 32 syllables in that mantra, right? If I told you just chant Om, 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 your rounds would be finished. Easy, right? It's only one syllable, right? So you have to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, next one. Okay, Hare Krishna, right? It's like 32 syllables. So this guy over here who's got Omkara, he's 32 times quicker he's doing his rounds, right? And this if somebody has a 108 syllable mantra, he's going to take longer. And the guy who's doing 1,000 syllable mantra, he's going to take even longer. So you're going to see different lengths of mantras we use for different purposes. Gayatri mantra is usually 24 syllables. So 3 times 8. So Narayanaya Vidmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahe Tanno Vishnu Prachodayate. This is Vishnu Gayatri, right? It mentions the 3 Vishnus from those 3 mantras we talked about before. What were they? You didn't think I'd ask you questions. I'm asking. Vasudeva, Vishnu, Narayana. Very good. Okay. So somebody's listening. I have to make sure sometimes because people. Okay. So all those 3 names are in one mantra. So somebody think, oh, why I chant those mantras? There's one mantra with 3. Easy, like, Hare Krishna. Why should I chant 1,000 names of Vishnu? I can chant Hare Krishna. I can chant just one name of Krishna. It's enough, right? There's reasons for chanting different things. So Vishnu Gayatri, Narayanaya Vidmahe, Vasudevaya Dhimahe, Tanno Vishnu Prachodayat. Those 3 names are also for the three mantras like that. If you learn more about Mantra Shastra, but to get back to it, don't start with complicated stuff. Start with one syllable mantras like that. So Shrom, it's enough for Narasimha. Perfect Shrom is enough. And then you move on. You can move on to Om Namo Narasimhaya, or you can do Ugram Vira Mahavishnam Janantam Savidomakam Simabhishanam Bhadram Mityavitam Mamiham Ram, or there's more, Om Namo Bhagavate Mahanasimhaya, Namstra Vadanayam, Gaura Rupaya, Rajanakaya, all this sort of stuff. You can go much further, but you start with simple. So we worship Sudarshana in the Punyavachanam, worship the Lord in water. That was especially for you, Swami, because you asked that question. You tried to catch me out, but Swami helped me. I actually did talk about a little bit. But let's move on. Okay, so we're going to go faster now. One should first purify his body by cleansing his teeth and bathing. Obviously, everybody should do this, right? Before we do deity worship, right? Before you chant japa, before you do anything, before you read Shastra, right? You should do Acharam actually. I should have done Acharam, but I didn't do it. Achamana pranayam sankalpa, I should do all these things before I reach scripture, but I didn't do it. But if you want to learn, you can learn, and we should do it properly. Then one should perform a second cleansing by spearing the body with earth. Remember I said earth is, Bhumi Devi is pure? Bhumi Devi is pure, so when we take a ritual bath, we have to take earth and smear it on our body and purify ourselves with that. Yeah, no soap. No soap. Soap is okay for cleaning dirt. Earth is for purifying the body. Yeah. Tilak is not taking a bath. Tilak is afterwards, after the bath. Yeah. If you want to cover yourself with tilak, very nice. That'd be very nice. Clay. Yes, clay. Yes, thank you. Okay. You can do that. Okay, so then it says, the earth, and chanting both Vedic and Tantric mantras. We won't go into how to take a bath properly because that'll take all day. To take a proper Vedic bath takes all day, actually. By the time you finish, you have to take another one because it's a fact. If anybody wants to know how to do it, fixing the mind on me, one should worship me by various prescribed duties, right? And chanting the Gayatri Mantra at the 3 junctions of the day. So we have to chant the Gayatri Mantra at 3 junctions of the day. If you have the Vedic Gayatri, you should chant the Vedic Gayatri, Savitri Gayatri. If you have some other Pancharatra Gayatri, you can chant that also. Such performances are enjoined in the Vedas and purify the worshipper from the reactions of fruitive activities. The deity form of the Lord is said to appear in 8 varieties. Now Krishna is going to give a definition. Stone, wood, metal, earth, paint, sand, the mind, and jewels. Okay, this is verse 12. So, we can have a stone deity, like Lord Narasimha. There are wooden deities. We see that Gaunitai is made of neem. They make wooden deities. There was a wooden deity in Kanchipuram. Was the original deity in Kanchipuram. They keep it underwater. Every 40 years, just 1 year back or something, they bring it out and they worship it and they put it back underwater for 40 years. Made of wood. Yeah. That clay doesn't last long, like stone. Stone lasts long, metal lasts long. We'll come to that. So paint, picture can be a deity. Picture can be a deity. You can worship a picture, 2-dimensional deity. It's a picture of Krishna, you can worship. Right? Even a photograph. So it doesn't have to be painted by an artist. It can be a photograph. Take a photograph of Lord Narasimha, take him with you. Worship him. You can. Same rules apply though. Same rules of deity worship apply. If you take a picture, that's why you go to Indian temples and no pictures. But why? You want to take our deity and you want to worship in some wrong way? You want to take a snapshot and then leave the photo here and not worship? You should worship if you take a picture. You don't have to worship, but you should. If you start worshipping a picture, you should continue. So they have in South India, sometimes they have these Radha Krishna weddings. Radha Kalyanam, they call it, like this, Radha and Krishna. Whether they're married or not married, we won't go into it. Okay, it's a topic. Right. Some people like to see a wedding, so they put Radha Krishna together. Okay, it's not. Brahma actually did some sort of thing. There's some, right, Gautamiya Tantra, there's something, Brahma did a wedding in the forest. Yeah. We won't go into it. It's too much of a sidetrack. Okay, so they have these paintings, beautiful paintings they make in Tanjore, in Tamil Nadu, or in Karnataka, in Mysore. And the paintings are paintings of Krishna or Rama or different Leelas, and they actually put real jewels and real gold leaf on the paintings. And the paintings become like deities in people's houses. And they have kirtans, and they have people come and they install the paintings in your house, and they worship it just like a deity. So you can worship the Lord as a painting. And then sand, there's ways of doing different mandalas in sand and different things like that. And we can also worship the Lord in sand. In the mind and heart are sometimes explained together. Like the mind and the heart are like the same. Well, the seat of consciousness, according to the Vedas, is like the heart. But we think of it in modern terms as being the mind. So in your mind, you can meditate on Krishna. You can do that. You can get some description of Krishna or Narasimha or whatever deity you want to worship, and you can read the Dhyana Mantra, right? The Dhyana Mantra, just like I gave the Dhyana Mantra for Surya Narayana, Deya Sarasapati Mandalama. Each deity will have a Dhyana Mantra. At each puja, a specific form. If you think of Krishna, he has to have the flute, his body has to be bending in certain ways, like that. He has to have certain things. Different forms of Narasimha. 4 arms, 8 arms, 16 arms, 32 arms, 1,000 arms, right? You can meditate on all these different forms. And there's a specific Dhyana Mantra, sloka, to help you to meditate and worship the Lord in your mind like that. And then jewels. A jewel. Some people, they have this Navaratnam. They have the 9 jewels for the 9 planets, right? What are the 9 planets? Everybody knows 9 planets? No, don't say, because you know. right? Who knows the there are 9 planets, right? Don't say Pluto. Who knows? Okay, I'll say. Adityaya cha somaya mangalaya budaya cha guru shukra shnebhyas cha rahave ketave namaha. Right? Adityaya, sun, cha somaya, moon, mangalaya, Mars, budaya cha, Mercury, guru, Jupiter, shukra, Venus, sanebhyas cha, Saturn, Rahu and Ketu, dragon's head, dragon's tail, right? Yeah. So these are the 9 planets, all in one sloka. So people tell, you go to astrologer and he says, chant this mantra for this deity, this devata, right? And you have here's one sloka. Aditya Somaya Mangalaya Budaya Cha Guru Shukra Shinebhyas Cha Rahave Ketave Namaha, finished. The whole 9. Easy. Like that. Now, of course, those deities of the planets are governed by Vishnu deities. If you read Parashara Horashastra, right? Who's heard of horoscope? Horoscope, yeah? Horoscope? Nobody knows? It's not, doesn't come in German probably. In English we say horoscope. You go to an astrologer, he does your horoscope. Sometimes it's horrible even, right? Sometimes it's good. So you go to horoscope. Horoscope is based on Hora Shastra. In English we get the word hour. H-O-U-R from Hora, from Sanskrit. Everything comes from Sanskrit, right? So hour is Hora in Sanskrit. So horoscope was written by Parasara Maharishi. Who is Parasara Maharishi? Who knows? Father of Vyasadeva. So he must know something. Vyasadeva was his son, right? Parasara Rishi. So he wrote the horoscope Shastra. He also wrote another thing. He wrote a Purana, Vishnu Purana, correct. He wrote Vishnu Purana also, like that. So all the Puranas are compiled and written by Vedavyasa, except one is written by his father, Vishnu Purana. Yeah. Okay, so what was the point? The point was Hora Shastra. We got, the point was you can worship the Lord in jewels because the jewels represent the planets, and the planets are governed by Vishnu deities. So maybe, I don't know what it is, but we can look it up. He knows because he's an astrologer, right? So is it Coral for Narasimha? Coral for Narasimha, for Mars. Coral is for Mars, and Mars is governed by Narasimha, not just by the Devata, but the Vishnu Tattva is Narasimha. So you get a coral, you can install Narasimha and worship Narasimha in a coral. Red coral, not other colors. Like if you go scuba diving on the Barrier Reef, you'll see many colors. I used to do that. So, but red coral should be red. Red, why? Because Narasimha is angry, right? He's red. Okay, so you can worship the Lord in different, like emerald. Emerald will be like Mercury, right? Vishnu, worship Vishnu, like that. Different deities. Okay, so that's it. So 13, the deity form of the Lord, who is the shelter of all living entities, can be established in 2 ways, temporarily and permanently. We have permanently installed here, the Mula Vigraha or Mula Bera of Sri Prahlad Narasimha Dev, right? With Lakshmi. Where's Lakshmi? Yes. Dakshinastonorde. Dakshinastonorde Shivatsaya Namaha, we say. On the Dakshinastana means the chest. On the Dakshinastana we have the Shrivatsa. Shrivatsa is the place of Lakshmi. It's a little mole or curl of hair like that represents Lakshmi, and sometimes we see on a deity it's an inverted triangle, which shows that she is there, the goddess is there. Or sometimes it's a figure of Lakshmi. Here I think it's a triangle. Like that. And so that is where Lakshmi is there, because Lakshmi and Narayana, they are never separated. They are never separated. Just like Radha Krishna are never separated. Although there's some leelas where they get separated. Okay, but in leela there can be separation. But in tattva, we're talking about tattva doctrine. There's no separation between Lord Narayana and Lord Narasimha and Lakshmi. So Lakshmi is there. So one of the things that we're going to do today is that we want to invoke Lakshmi and reinstall the Lakshmi deity, the Utsava deity of Lakshmi, we have to do avahya, we have to do invocation from the Srivatsa of the permanently installed deity of Lord Lakshmi, Prahlad Lakshmi Narasimha, from the Srivatsa. So there's a method of doing different nyasas and different mantras and things like that, of praying to Lakshmi to come and come from the Srivatsa and enter into the deity and accept our worship through the Utsava deity. So here it's talked about there's two types of installation. There's a permanent installation and a temporary installation. The deities which are movable, in the Sanskrit it says chala chaleti. What does it say? Chala chaleti. Iti means thus. Iti means thus, or it means what is said before is to be said out loud. But anyway, chala and achala. Chala and achala. Chala means go. Like when you go to Vrindavan and you get in the rickshaw and you say, chalo, chalo, go, go, go. Like that. So in Hindi it means go. In Sanskrit also means go, right? Go. So the movable deity is called the Chala Murti. Murti means a form. Murti just means form of the deity, right? Murti or Bera, or there's many words for form. Pratima is another name, right? So Chala Murti is a movable deity. So we have movable deities here. And they go on procession. Because the main deity is too heavy to take for procession, right? And he has to be stuck. He's stuck. He has to have contact with Bhumi Devi, his stira. He's stuck like that. So permanently installed deity has to be stuck to the pitam, and there's a process which we can explain, maybe if we talk about it later, how we did that, right? Swamiji also helped me very much with this, with the silicon, right? You remember? 40 years ago, we still remember all these things. Okay, so the deity has to be stuck. Underneath the deity, there's also a yantra. Underneath Lord Narasimha, there's a yantra on the outside, Narasimha yantra. I brought 2 from India. Those yantras were worshipped for 40 days, or 48 days, or 40 days, like that, one mandala, 40-day worship. We have to install Narasimha and worship Narasimha in the yantra, and then place that yantra underneath Narasimha, because Narasimha, the Supreme Lord, is so pure, he can only sit on a seat which is as pure as him. So he has to, what he sits on is him also. The altar is considered to be Balarama. Balarama is Krishna, right? Shesha, Ananta, right? Yeah, so he sits on him. So we put the yantra there and we put the deity on top. Underneath the yantra, we put something also. We put all the jewels. We were mentioning about jewels. We put jewels. And we put herbs and other things, spices. Secret blend of herbs and spices go underneath. Okay? I can tell you later if you learn. Okay, and then we put it all together, and then Swamiji came and with the silicon and stuck him all together like that. There's a special thing that you do in India. It's called Astabandhana, and they put it in there. Once every 12 years, you actually have to crack it off and redo it like that. That is called Kumbhabhishekam or Samprokshanam. Usually they do that like that. Maybe we introduce that system, then I'll come more often. So, okay. And then once a year you have to do the Brahmotsavam. What does Brahmotsavam mean? Does everybody know? Right? Brahma is the first created being. So Brahma means first. Right? Utsava means festival. So the Brahmotsavam is the first festival. It's the most important festival of the year. There's a liturgical calendar, not to get technical, but there's a liturgical calendar for each temple. And it starts at a certain date and ends at a certain date, and then repeats every year. Traditionally in Pancharatra, the first part of the calendar is called is Panguni Uttaram. Panguni Uttaram. It is said to be the day of surrender, the day of surrender to God, and it comes in April, right? In April, yeah. Because April is Chaitra. That's the first month in the Indian calendar, by the way. Yeah, they don't start in January, okay? They start in April. Why? Because that's when the sun comes into the first house. Swami is going to tell us sun comes into Aries. Sun comes into Aries, right? Aries. He would tell me in Sanskrit because he knows better. So all of these people are teachers for different areas. You have to go to them. I would go to them and ask because I don't know. So sun goes into Aries, so this is Panguni Uttaram. Panguni, you know, we have Lord Chaitanya's appearance day in Palguna. Also for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the year starts in Panguni or Palguni, right? Did you know that? For Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the calendar starts the day after Gaura Purnima. Gaura's Purnima, the Lord was born under a, what is it called? Full moon, right? He was born on a full moon, and then the next day was the beginning of the year from his date, right? From his birthday. So for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they have a thing called Gaurabda. Gaurabda means, Abda means years. Like we have, AD and BC, Anno Domini, the year of our Lord after Christ or whatever it is, like that. And then in India, there's many, many different calendars. So this calendar for Gaudiya Vaishnava starts with the birthday of Lord Chaitanya and then goes on from that. So anyway, Brahmotsavam is in the liturgical calendar, but the first thing is the offering of surrender. It represents the time when the devotee takes initiation. Right? It's the time of surrender. Formal surrender is at a time of initiation, right? And then in the end of the year, there's the Vaikuntha Ekadasi, where Namamo Moksham, the moksha, the person goes he dies and he goes to Golok, or he goes back to Godhead. Okay? So the liturgical calendar of a temple in Pancharatra is to explain all the different stages of a devotee's life, of a Vaishnava's life. It's very beautiful. But we can talk about it some other time. Anyhow, so in that system, there's one thing called Brahmotsavam. Brahmotsavam is charging the batteries. Right? Everybody's got a cell phone, right? What happens when your cell phone runs out of juice? You plug it in, right? That is Brahmotsavam. That's what we're doing. No, Narasimha is not running out of juice, by the way. He has plenty of juice, and everybody's offering juice to him also. But every year, we want to enthuse ourselves more by doing a special worship to offer to the Lord. Right? So that is called Brahmotsavam. So that's what we're going to do after that. So here we're talking, I'm going to finish here very soon. Swami is leaving. Yes, thank you. And you can also tell me when to finish too, because if you don't, I'll just keep going forever. So somebody has to tell me actually. But here we can finish it says here temporarily and permanently, right? So permanently, the stone deities are installed permanently. The other ones are temporarily. They're installed from the large deity. The potency of the large deity is coming to the small deities. The Lord enjoys the procession through the small deities. He enjoys the abhishekam through the small deities, or whatever other thing that we can't offer to him as a large deity, but of course we can offer abhishekam to the large deity also. Anyway, so temporarily and permanently, this is two methods of installation. So now what we're going to do today is Mahalakshmi. Mahalakshmi, the consort of the Lord, is always with the Lord. She's never, but her temporarily and her Utsava Murti has become somehow damaged, and we want to only offer to puja to a perfect deity. Right? If a deity becomes damaged, in the scripture it says how to replace the deity. How to replace the deity, and it says in Hari Bhakti Vilas, is in the 19th Vilas, around verse 1002, I think, or around 1009, whatever it is. Right? It says that you should be as diligent and you should be as happy to replace the deity of the form of the Lord that becomes damaged, right? If it becomes damaged, as you do changing the flowers every day, right? Every day we change the flowers. We don't leave the flowers on Lord Narasimha for more than one day, right? The next day, the flowers will become wilted, so we have to take them off and put new flowers. So the same thing, if the Lord's body, somehow if there's some problem with that, then we have to replace with the same. So we have the duplicate deity, and we have to invoke the power of Lakshmi from the Srivatsa, and we have to invoke it and we have to do a pratishta, we have to install that new deity, like that. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're doing that today, and then the Brahmotsav will go on like that. Right, so does anybody have any questions? Yeah. Shoot. Yeah. No, deity, mantra mantra and deity, same thing. Same thing, right? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What is that? Krishna, that's Krishna? That's Krishna's sound form. That is Shabda Brahman. Shabda Brahman. That is Brahman in sound form. So yeah, we mentioned the movable deities here. Also, other movable deities are like the pots, the kumbha, right? We have a pot with a coconut on top and leaves, right, and strings around it. The strings represent the nerves. The pot is a body. The water inside is the blood. We put some different things inside for the different organs. We put the coconut on top, which is the head. It even has a sika like that, and we put tilak on it, and then we put the leaves in there: 2 arms, 2 legs, genitals. That's a temporary deity. That's a temporary deity. You're going to see. We'll do it. Kumbha. We'll have a kumbha like that, and we'll say Om Bhu Mahalakshmi Vayami, Om Bhuva Mahalakshmi Vayami, Om Suva Mahalakshmi Vayami, and we'll invoke Mahalakshmi there in the kumbha, like that. So we'll have a Maha Kumbha, a big kumbha. I don't know how big it'll be, but it'll be called the Maha Kumbha, and we'll invoke Mahalakshmi from the Srivatsa into the kumbha. Afterwards, we also have the other kumbha. Another kumbha we'll do Sudarshana worship in the Sudarshana kumbha for Punyavachanam, Vasudeva Punyavachanam. So Om Bhu Mahasudarshana Vayami, Om Bhuva Mahasudarshana, Om Suva Mahasudarshana Vayami, right? And whatever we do, all the other things, hocus pocus. And then we'll worship him in those different places. These are also temporary deities. These are temporary deities, the kumbhas. So there's many, so the fire also is temporary because the fire is going to go out, right? Temporary, the mandala, if we have a mandala, we're temporary. Like there's many temporary forms of the Lord, which we do, all involving mantras. Like I was talking about in Bengal, they have clay deities, or in Ganesh Chaturthi, they make a Ganesh out of clay. These are also temporary deities. Now, the deity, when a deity is made of a temporary thing, then you have to call the Lord, right? And then you have to send the Lord away. Like in Sandhya Vandana, we say, Ayata Varada Devi, Acharam Brahma Samitam Gayatri, Im Chandasama, Dedam Brahma Shashvanaha, Ayatu Varada, oh please Devi, oh Sandhya Devi, oh Savitri Devi, Gayatri Devi, please come and be in my mind while I meditate on the Lord, like that. We call her, and at the end we say, Uttameshagare Devi, Bhumyam Pavatamuddini Brahmane Ebhyo Hinuganam Gacha Devi Jasakam. Gacha Devi, Gacha means go. Go Devi, go back home, go back to your place, like that. After, because I'm finished my Gayatri, go back. You can go back to sit on your mountaintop, like that. And the same thing we do with if we call Vishvaksena, or if we call any deity, David, Ganesh, or anybody that we're worshipping, we won't be worshipping Ganesh today, just Vishvaksena. Okay, Vishvaksena is the commander-in-chief of Lord Vishnu's army, and why does he have an army? I don't know. But anyway, he's like a secretary of Lord Vishnu. It's stated we should worship Vishvaksena, it's better, like that. But if you can worship Ganesh, it's also there in Hari Bhakti Vilas. But anyhow, so the point is, if we call, we call them with say if we call Ganesh, we'll say Shuklam Bharadhanam Vishnam Sharivanam Siddhubhajam Prasanna Bharadhanam Dhyayat Sarvingam Prashantaye Om Bho Mahaganapatim Vahayami Om Mahaganapatim Vahayami Svama Mahaganapatim Vahayami Om Bhurva Svaha Mahaganapatim Vahayam. And then we offer Paribhajam Samabhihasya. We offer all the different services to him, and then at the end we say Vigneshwaraya Namaha Yatastanam Padisapayami Kshemaya Punragamanaya Cha. Then we say, now you can go. Now we've offered everything to you, now please go. Like that. When we worship the Lord, we say Kurmarin Devilagam Dharmanimayam Mandapam Tatrashesham Tasmin Dharmadi Beatam Tarbarikam Lam Chamaragrahinisya Vishnum Devi Bushay Muragam Paruke Vainateyam Senesham Dwarapalam Kumanavakaganam Vishnu Bhaktam Prabhadye. What does it mean? It means in the beginning of puja we say this. We want to worship the Lord. He's already being worshipped, isn't he? He's in Vaikuntha, he's in Goloka, he's already being worshipped, he's surrounded, right? Isn't Krishna already surrounded by millions of gopis worshipping him, and cowherd boys and Narasimha? They're all being worshipped already. Garuda, Vishvaksena, Adishesha, all these people are worshipping Lord. They're already worshipping, so why do they need us to worship? So we have to get in there and say, we have to pray to them. Oh Garuda, oh Vishvaksena, oh Jaya Vijaya, Chanda Prachanda, Bala Prabala, Data Vida, all you Dwarpalakas, all you Nitya Suris, you Nitya Siddhas, all you people who are eternally serving the Lord, give us a chance to serve him. So you just relax, you can relax for a while, and just let us serve him. And then at the end of the puja we say, now Supreme Lord, now that we've offered worship to you, we hope that you're satisfied and you please go back to being worshipped by your... He's always being worshipped. either by us or by others. But when we want to worship him, we have to first pay respects to those people who are already worshipping him, right? Because we're infringing on their worship, right? They're worshipping him, so we have to say, please accept, please help us, let us worship. We want to worship a little bit like that. So, today we should think of Mahalakshmi. Today we should think of Mahalakshmi. How do we think of Mahalakshmi? Okay. We should think of Mahalakshmi, and I want everybody's help. I want everybody's help. And I need my computer's help too. Oh, needs a password. Okay, everybody's help. What do I need? I need everybody's help. Everybody, we need to meditate on Mahalakshmi. And we need to remember, and I'm going to explain to you, I'll give you the Mahalakshmi Bija Mantra. Mahalakshmi Bija Mantra, so I'll explain it to you. The Bija Mantra is Shreem, 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 Shreem. And if you are initiated, you can say Om Shreem. Or maybe if you're not initiated, you can also say Om Shreem. But you should be probably initiated if you say Om Shreem, right? We always start a mantra with Om. Right? Vedic. Om is Vedic. Shreem is Pancharatra. So it's a mixture, right? We talked about how a mixture. So when we explain a mantra to people, right, we explain to them the full understanding of the mantra, right? Lakshmi Nata Samanamam, Nati Munabhadyamam, Asmaracharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. So there's a Guru Parampara in Pancharatra that comes down from the Lord. All these mantras come down. And before we chant a mantra, it's very important. In Chandogya Upanishad, who's read Chandogya Upanishad? Okay, not a lot of people. Okay, go read it sometime. Not now. And in that, I'll tell you what's in there. Okay, in Chandogya Upanishad, it's explained. There was one rishi. He went to a sacrifice, and the priests in the sacrifice they didn't know. They were just chanting like parrots. They didn't know the meanings of the mantras. They didn't know who were the rishis of the mantras. They didn't know who was the god for the mantras. They didn't know any of those things. That you have to know. If you get a mantra, you have to know all these things about the mantra. Right? And before you say the mantra, you should say, Ashishi Shri Mantrasya Bhrigu Rishihi, and touch your head. Nitrid Gayatri Chandaha, in front of the nose. Shri Devata, and touch the heart. Shri Devi is in our heart, right? Sham Bijam, Ram Shaktihi, Shram Hridayam, right? Shrim Sirsaha, Shri Devi Kankayurope Viniyogaha. If you want to learn later, this is more complicated, you can learn it later. But if you just chant, I need everybody to think about Shreem, 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 or Om Shreem, Om Shreem, Om Shreem, like this today. Think about Mahalakshmi, like that. And then there are some other nyasas that we do. We purify our hands and we purify our body so that we become an embodiment of Sri Devi, because the pujari cannot touch the deity in his present body. He must be pure. So he has to put on a kavacha, he has to put on a suit of mantra armor on himself. His hands and his body have to be completely purified by the mantra of the deity which he's going to touch. Before touching the deity, you're cooking in the kitchen and there's a hot pot, right? You put a glove on, no? You don't touch the hot pot. You have to put on the thing, right? If something's in the oven, you have to put on, he's hot. He's very hot. Don't touch him without doing this, right? Put Narasimha on you before touching Narasimha. Put Sri Devi on you before chanting her mantra. Like that, very important. Okay, some people don't do it, but if you don't do it, it's okay. But anyway, so first we do on the hands. Om Shram Angustabhyam Namaha. So we do with the hands, we take the forefinger and touch the thumb, and then the thumb touches the other fingers. So Om Shram Angustabhyam Namaham Shreem Tajnib Namaham Shrum Madhyamab Namaham Shraim Amikab Namaham Shram Kanistikab Namaha Om Shraha Katarakalpistabhyam Namaha, the front and back of the hands. Okay? Later. Then that's for the hands. Then Om Shram Jnanaya Hridaya Namaha. We touch the heart. Om Shri Maishwarya Swaha. Om Shrum Shaktai Shikaya Vase. Om Shraim Balaya Kavachaya Hum. Om Shram Tejase Netrabhyam Vosate. For Sri Devi, 2 eyes. Sri Devi has 2 eyes. How many eyes does Narasimha have? 3 eyes. He has 3 eyes. You can't see that other eye. If you see that other eye, he'll probably burn you to smithereens. So he doesn't always open that one. But Shiva has, Durga has. There are some deities that have, we meditate, they have 3 eyes. Narasimha is also like that. If you go to Vrindavan near Radha Ballabha temple, there's a Narasimha temple. He has 3 eyes. Am I right? Correct. 3 eyes. 3 eyes. So instead of that, we say Netra Trayaya Voshate. But here we say Netrabhyam, it means 2 eyes. Right? So, Shraum Tejase Netrabhyam Voshate Shraha Viryaya Straya Pate. So take 2 fingers, slap with the right hand, slap your, make a sound. Viryaya Straya Pate, snap around your head like that. This is the Anganyasa for the body. Okay, there's many other mantras like that. Then Bhuyad Bhuyo Dvipadmaya Varada Ghara Tapta Karta Svarabha Subrabherabha Yugmadvaya Karajita Kumbadhir Asinchamana Ratnaugha Bhadamuli. I had to do this all this morning, right? When I got up, I had to finish it. I was working on it, but anyway. Ratnaugha Bhadamulir Vimalatara Dukularta Vale Panadhya Padmakshi, we'll be finished in a minute. Padmakshi Padmanabhor Sikrita Savati Vasati Padmaga Shri Yainaha. May she become more and more like the 2 lotus, fearless, boon-giving, with a burning red voice, sprinkled with water pots held in the hands of the 2 pairs of white elephants. She is adorned with the crown, bound with the floods of gems, and rich with purple clothes and ointments. The lotus-eyed and lotus-naveled, the lotus flowing, the goddess of fortune is the goddess of fortune. Right? That is the meditation for the Shrim Bija Mantra. Shrim. So then we do japa. Om Shrim, Om Shrim, Om Shrim, Om Shrim, Om Shrim. So if everybody can do that, right, we have to chant a whole lot of other mantras. We'll also be chanting this mantra. And there are some other mantras that we're going to also chant. But this is the beginners. This is the easy one. Shrim, 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 Shrim. I mean, you have to finish off, you have to chant Hare Krishna also. But when you finish chanting Hare Krishna, or if you feel like it, we would appreciate some japa of Shri. Shri, Shrim, 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 Shrim. It can be done in the mind, it can be done out loud, it can be done softly. There's 3 ways of japa. Did you know? Everybody knows that? 3 ways of japa? What is japa? Who knows? What's the definition of japa? Yeah, okay. If you look it up in the dictionary, that's what they'll say. Okay, so, but what does it mean, japa? Japa nished, huh? Yeah, well, it can mean different things. Okay, this in Hari Bhaktivilas talks about 3 types of japa. So one type is out loud, repetition out loud. Hare Krishna, kirtan is japa, is a type of japa, like that. One is murmuring. Usually when we say japa, we say manasika, upamamsu, or vachika. Vachika means if I say a mantra and you can hear it, that's called vachika. If I say a mantra, if I say Hare Krishna, you hear me say it. That's vachika. If I do upamamsu, that's usually what we think of japa. Upamamsu is I just chanted Hare Krishna mantra using my lips and my tongue and my throat, but you can't hear it. The person sitting next to you can't hear it. That is called upamamsu, whispering. That is normal japa. You know, we hear this type of Prabhupada chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. You know, this was recorded in Melbourne, or Sydney, Australia, where I'm from. Many years ago, Prabhupada was giving initiation and he was chanting very loudly like that. But if you ever went on a morning walk with Srila Prabhupada, you couldn't hear him chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, upamamsu. So don't be fooled with this japa tape that he was chanting like this japa, Hare Krishna, really loud. No, soft. Upamamsu. So vachika, upamamsu, and a third type is in the mind. This is the hardest type to do in the mind because the mind is always going some other place, right? So in Hari Bhaktivilas, you get benefit from doing it out loud. You get 100 times benefit from doing softly, and 1,000 times benefit from doing in the mind like that. But it's very difficult to do japa in the mind. So in the beginning, we always do out loud. We tell people to do out loud. So if anybody can do some japa, please help us to do some japa, because we were traveling, we didn't do a lot of japa of Sri Devi mantra, although we were thinking he did it for us, right? So that's the other thing, like if you can't do some spiritual thing, then you get somebody else to do it for you. Yeah, like Ekadasi. You can't follow Ekadasi, so you have somebody else do it for you. Yeah. No, you can do that. That's in Shastra. I'm serious. No, I'm not joking. People think I'm joking. No? The husband says, to the wife, you can do it for me. I can't do it. I'm unable to do it this time, so you do it, and the next time I'll do it for you. You get 100 times benefit if you do it for somebody else. Did you know that? Haribhakti says, yeah, if you do it for somebody else. So a friend of mine said, okay, so I'm going to do it for my wife, and she's going to do it for me. And then we'll get 100 times benefit. Okay. But just remember that all of these things, remember I started off, I said in the Shastra is hyperbole, like that. They're trying to enthuse you. There's Lakshmi, right? Lakshmi, we're going to chant from the Vedas. We have Vedic mantras. We've given you the Pancharatra mantra, Shrim, 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 Om, Shrim, 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 right? We also have a Gayatri mantra for Lakshmi. Does everybody want that too? Om Mahadevyai cha vidmahe Vishnu patnyai cha dhimahi Tanno Lakshmi prachodayat, right? Okay, so that's Lakshmi Gayatri. Like that, what are the Lakshmi and Shri Suktam, Hiranyavarnam, Harinim Savanna, we'll do it later, like that. And at the end, Padma Priye, Padmini Padma Haste, Padmalaye, Padma Dalaya Takshi, Vishva Priye, Vishnu Manonukule, Twadpada Padma Mahisanidastra, Om Mahadevye Vidmahe, Vishnu Patnyai Dhimahi, Tanno Lakshmi prachodayat. Right? Right. Lakshmi. There are Asta Lakshmis. Do you know that? 8 Lakshmis. There are Nava Narasimhas and Asta Lakshmis. There are 9 Narasimhas. I think I have them in my pocket. I have them in my pocket. I think I do. There's a mantra for all 9 Narasimhas, in a hobalam, right? What happened to my glasses? There they are. I've got them on my face usually. My wife says they're on your face. Okay. Narasimha on the front, Laura Hobalam, and on the back, all 9 Narasimhas. There's a mantra. I'll have to look it up if people want to know. There's a mantra with all the names of all 9 Narasimhas. Yeah. Sri Dwala Narasimha, Sri Hobala Narasimha, Sri Malola Narasimha, Sri Varaha Narasimha, Sri Karanjan Narasimha, Sri Bhargava Narasimha, Sri Yogananda Narasimha, Sri Chakravarti Narasimha, Sri Pavana Narasimha. Yes. And Prahlada Vardhan Narasimha in Loka. Many Narasimhas. But we can think of this Narasimha. Okay. So any quick questions? Everyone's going to help me, right? Because we need people to chant Om Shrim, Om Shrim, Om Shrim, Om Shrim, Om Shrim, 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 Shrim. We have to meditate on Mahalakshmi today. Fully meditate on Mahalakshmi. We won't forget about Lord Narasimha, but we have to do this special ceremony for Lakshmi. Yeah. So help. Please help. I need your help. Can't do it without you. Questions? Anything? One more thing. You give one more thing. Only one thing? Only one. Ah. Oh. Yeah.
Normally the Kalashi and all festival days,
the
wife is doing the Kalashi for the fasting
for the husbands. Yeah.
The same.
Yeah. Can do. Possible. Possible.
I have many questions, but you said Om Shrim is a mixed mantra?
Yeah. Om is a Vedic mantra. Om is a Vedic mantra, no? Akaro, Gara, Makariti. It's made of A, U, Ma. 3 letters. A, U, Ma. Akara, Ukara, Makara, Iti. In the Narayana Atavashira Upanishad it says, Om Namo Narayana iti mantrobhasika Vaikunta Bhavana Lokam Gamishyati. The person who worships with the Om Namo Narayana mantra, he will go to Vaikunta. But it says, Om is akara, ukara, makara, iti. It's made of kara means a letter. So it's a, u, ma. A means what? Vishnu. Akaro ma is Vishnu. A is Vishnu. Ma is what? Ma. Ma is me. Ma is me. Means me. Means ma is the jiva. So there's Krishna. A is Krishna. Ma is what? The jiva. Right? We're all jivas, right? Right? What is U? Lakshmi. Yeah. A, U, ma.
And why is Lakshmi not a Vedic?
Lakshmi is in the middle. You know why she's in the middle? To protect us from his anger. Right? She's a mother. Lakshmi is a mother, right? Is she a mother? She's a mother. She's a Jagan Mataram, Asmad Mataram. We have a special prayer for surrender to Lakshmi. Before we surrender to the Lord, because if we surrender directly to the Lord, He may or may not accept us. Right? He's like the Father. We have done so many wrong things, right? When the children do so many wrong things and they go to the Father and say, Father, forgive me. Maybe. I not forgive you. But if Mother, I've done so many wrong things. Mother, oh, poor boy, no problem. We forgive you, no problem. Like that. Easily forgiven by the mother, right? And then she'll go to the Father and say, you have to forgive him. Please forgive him. Like that, you know. He's just a child. Forgive him. Like that. So we go to Lakshmi before we go to Narayana. We go to Radha to go to Krishna, right? Shri Shri Radha Krishna. Shri Shri Radha. We don't say Shri Shri Krishna Radha, right? We say Hare Krishna. Who is Hare? Yeah. Well, it can mean different things. Hare can be Hara, or it can be Hara, or it can be Hari. So it has different meanings, but we'll talk about that later. But Prabhupada to explain one way is Hara. Hara means Radha. Even the Nimbarkas, they say Radhe Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Sham, Sham Sham, Radhe Radhe, right? So Hare Krishna means Radha Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama means Radha Ramana, right? So it means Radha Krishna. So we always go to Krishna through Radha. We always go through to Narasimha through Lakshmi. So we have to say Shri Shri Prahlad Lakshmi Narasimha. So first the devotee, then the consort of the Lord, right? His wife, Lakshmi, and then the Supreme Lord. Yeah? Did that answer the question or not? Yeah, almost Vedic.
Why is Lakshmi not Vedic?
Why is Lakshmi? She's Vedic. Oh, it's very Vedic. She's extremely Vedic. She's also extremely Vedic. But the mantra, that Shreem Bij is not Vedic. The seed mantra for her is not Vedic. The seed mantra for Narasimha is also not Vedic. The seed mantra, Shrom or Shreem, right? These seed mantras are Pancharatric. But the other mantras are Vedic, like this Ugram Vedam Mahavishnam Jvalandam Zarvadomakam Zimbam Beshanam Badam Mityam Namamiham. That is Vedic. It comes in the Upanishads, right? Tapani Upanishad you can get from Swami here. Amara Swami is expert on that Upanishad. He knows. So that is Vedic. That's a Vedic mantra. Also the Narasimha Gayatri. Bhajanagaya vidmahe tirashnadagasthaya dhimahe tanno narasimha prachodayate. Right? So those are Vedic mantras. But the Bija Mantra, Shrom, that's not Vedic. That's Pancharatric. The Shreem is not Pancharatric. Again, Lakshmi has other mantras which are Vedic. The Sri Suktam. Sri Suktam is Vedic. Comes from the Rig Veda appendix, Kila section. So that's Vedic. That's for Sri. Right? Even in Purusha Sukta we say, Hrishtate Lakshmist, Hrishtate Lakshmist, Chapatnya. In Purusha Suktam, right? Everybody knows Purusha Suktam. Hri means Bhudevi, and Lakshmi means, so Bhu and Lakshmi and Shri. Hrishtate Lakshmist, Chapatnya. Patnya means the two wives. Hrishtate Lakshmi Patnyao Ahoratre Parishve Nakshatrani Rupam Ashpeno Vyatam Ishtam Manishana Amum Manishana Sarvam Manishana Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Right? That's how Purusha Sukta ends. So she is mentioned there, that's Vedic. But that particular mantra that is Pancharatric, because Krishna said you can worship me by Pancharatric, you can worship me by Agamic or Vedic or or mixed. What I've just told you is you can either do the Pancharatric or you can do the mixed, like that. If you want a pure mantra for Lakshmi from the Veda, then Sri Shuktam, what is it, Lakshmi Gayatri from Taitiriya Aranyaka. Narasimha Gayatri is also from Taitiriya Aranyaka. So, Taitiriya Aranyaka. It's a part of the Taitiriya Krishna Yajurveda. If you want to know more, ask Swami Wikipedia or Google Ananda. These Swamis are very great. They have very great parampara. You know them? Swami Wikipedia is a very great Swami, and Swami Google Ananda, even greater Swami. Yes, no, they're doing many things. But sometimes they get wrong, but mostly they're giving you good instruction. Is that any question finished? Okay. Jai Sriman Narayana Jai. Om Namo Narasimhaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. Yes, Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. Thank you very much. Sorry, I kept everybody from Prasadam, right? Now it's all gone. I'm sure there'll be some there. Thank you. Whoa, I need some water. Little bit longer class because you have to know what's going on. How do I take this off? Is it possible? Thank you. Thank you very much.